Hi, I'm Reed Fetters, Tacoma Rising. We're at Courthouse Square. We're gonna go check out in Rama. They've got fantastic drinks. The food's incredible. Come on. I'm Reed Fetters, and this is Tacoma Rising. I'm at in Rama, which is at Courthouse Square. I'm with the two owners, Alexis and Ziggy Taladay. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
I just learned that you guys purchased this in February 2024.
Yep.
We've got some catching up to do because I didn't realize it was back then. I thought it was more recent than that. But thank you for your time today. I'm really excited about learning more about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, Rama started in 2017. How did you guys end up with the keys? What's the story?
Well, we were both longtime bartenders, been in the industry for decades. We had lived in Seattle before, and we owned a place up there that opened in 2015 and closed during COVID. But in 2018, we moved to Tacoma. And the initial plan was to open a bar or restaurant, but then COVID happened.
Right.
And
we had a child.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that happens too.
So it didn't seem like the best time to open a restaurant or a bar. So we took some little minor career detours and tried a few other things besides bartending and.
I mean, we both worked at bars down.
But we both worked at bars down here,
yeah.
and then after a couple of years, we just started talking about maybe it was time to get back to the original plan. And we were trying to buy the Zodiac Supper Club space where Three Hearts is now, and Jeff and his crew were just a little bit ahead of us on that one. So. Same landlords as this place, and we knew this place was for sale, so we said, hey, let's start talking about it in Rama then. And here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, we originally had wanted, we didn't quite have the funding for a from scratch build out. So we needed something turnkey, and there's actually not a ton of turnkey spaces in Tacoma.
Right.
So, especially ones that made sense for our budget and just what, we were looking for. And the things that did possibly make sense, we were always like one person too late. Like somebody else kind of snatched them up before us.
Yeah.
And so then, when we were looking at the Zodiac space, which he had actually bartended at Zodiac, so he knew the space.
Yeah.
He had worked there for Dave and Dana. And so we were excited about that, but it didn't pan out. And the same agent had this space down here. And, so we were like, okay, let's rethink that. And we've been here before,
Yeah. My
pre-COVID even.
Yeah, my first birthday dinner in Tacoma was here.
Oh, really?
In Rama. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were familiar with the restaurant or the space.
Yeah.
And you moved down in, you said 2018.
Yeah.
Had a kid.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was a messy time. That's just that made things difficult for several years. So
Really.
I definitely understand that. Okay, so you ran the Wakefield, and you worked at Ziggy. You ran the Wakefield, and worked at distribution at Republic National.
Yep.
Run me through what's Wakefield? Is that where you were right before you came down? What is Wakefield?
That was our spot in Seattle. The two of us kind of ran it together for the first 3 years before we moved to Tacoma. And it stayed open for a couple more years, but we weren't really actively running it anymore. We had business partners that were kind of taking care of things up there. And and then, that was in Belltown in Seattle. So when COVID hit.
I think when we moved down here, we thought we'd go up there a lot more, and we just stopped wanting to go up to Seattle.
Yeah, fair.
We just found ourselves never going up to Seattle to check on the spot, and then COVID hit, and so we really weren't going up there.
Yeah.
And we just decided to exit the business and left it to our partners.
Yeah, and then you know, kind of getting up there in years, not really wanting to tend bar, especially in, you know, post-COVID, when I told myself, well, if bars start staying open until 2 a.m. again and people are sitting at your bar top again, like I'm too old to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a young kid at home, like I don't want to live that lifestyle much anymore. And so that's when I took a job as liquor wine rep.
Got it.
There's kind of two paths you can do when you want to retire as a bartender, and it's either real estate agent or liquor rep. So I went with the liquor rep route and did that for a little over 2 years, and then got hit in the first round of layoffs that have basically never stopped and over the last 3 years, and now the company is about to go under next month. And that was, you know, that was where we had started to have the conversation before I got laid off about maybe we should start looking around at spaces, and that just really cemented it that it was like, we got to get back to being in the restaurant business. And that, you know, it's a really challenging business, but it feels like home to me, you know, especially versus being a rep.
I do think you have to say about your rep days. The one thing about my husband is that he had too much experience being on the like bar manager, bar owner side of it from ordering. And so when he was having to sell things to people that they didn't maybe need, but he had to meet corporate America sales goals. That is not his personality at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was very unhappy doing that.
Yeah.
That's why we had started to talk about it even before he got laid off, because he was like, it's just not me. Like he couldn't go into these places and try to sweet talk somebody into carrying something he knew would just sit on their bar.
Right.
You know,
'Cause they didn't have-
he knew. He's like, I have too much experience. Like, I can sell you Bruno Mars rum, but like, it's gonna sit back there and nobody's gonna buy it. And
no one's taking.
it was just not. Yeah, it's just not him. He's too. It's just not his personality to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so many years in hospitality that it was hard to switch to sales. You want to take care of people.
Yeah, and that's and that doesn't
You know?
go away. And I definitely understand that. So coming out in 2018, you're not the first couple to move from Seattle to Tacoma. What made you bet on Tacoma versus Seattle? What made you come down here and be like, you know what, we want to be down here?
Yeah.
I mean, it was mostly our friends moving down here. So Abe from Wood City, Billy from Red Star, a few other people, but people in the restaurant industry had moved down here because we all basically got priced out of Seattle. We'd all grown up bartending together, and it's kind of like, wow, we can't afford to be here anymore. Like, what are we going to do? We're all getting older. We want to have families or just more space. And definitely not like those friends of mine who didn't have a partner were like, I don't want to start having roommates to be afford to live in Seattle. And people were like, no, like you'll really like Tacoma.
Yeah.
Look at it, you know. And I grew up in West Seattle. So when I went to UW and you know, I think probably in my past, had you told me I would move to be living in Tacoma and like love it as much as we did, I wouldn't believe you. But we're so happy we're down here. I mean, we go back up to Seattle, and it's sad because it doesn't feel like home anymore. Tacoma really feels like home.
I agree with that. Similar situation when I moved out here. I wanted to be in Seattle, which was about almost 7 years ago. But when I came and visited before we moved, fell in love with Tacoma. It was the 4th of July weekend. They had all the air show going on, all these things, and it was really cool. But then I drove downtown, and I just felt like there's a lot of like opportunity down here. And I tell the story way too much, but like I'm so glad we landed in Tacoma.
Yeah.
I was glad then. I'm even more glad now with how things are, you know, shaping up. But I just feel like Tacoma feels way more like home. And I think it's really interesting that some of the best parts of Seattle that are happening up there starts to come down and blend in with what's going on actually here in Tacoma. So I think that's been a really cool result of doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a chance to rebrand. Get away from Rama, but you chose to keep it. What was the mindset behind keeping the name Rama?
I mean,
Well, it had such a great reputation, and everybody we talked to like loved it so much that we didn't want to take that away from, you know, people having so many great core memories of being here and like loving the space, and that's just kind of what I mean, this space was, I think, like, was built to be in Rama. You
Yeah.
know, it was a from scratch build out.
Yeah.
And they imagined that concept here. You know, and even though we've kind of manipulated the concept from what it originally was, we still wanted to keep that sort of beloved entity for people.
Yeah.
Did you guys change much on the menu? Did any, like, what changes did you guys make that people would feel when they came in here? Was it significant, or did you kind of
Well, we
fly?
definitely went away from the sherry. It had
Yeah.
started to evolve away from that, and we kind of were like, okay, we can broaden the horizons a little bit. Like, sherry
Right.
doesn't need to be in every cocktail.
Was it in every cocktail before?
It was in a
or
lot of
pretty
them.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
that
maybe
makes
not
sense
everyone,
though.
Yeah.
but it was in a lot of
Yeah,
them. I think
yeah.
other than that, though, it's not like they really had sherry flights or like a big
Right,
thing
right.
educating people about it. So
Yeah.
it felt like it had gotten muddled already.
Yeah.
When we took over. So we were just kind of like, you know what, let's just try to have like great drinks. Let's improve the wine selection.
Definitely revamp the wine program
you know.
for sure.
Well, I didn't know about the sherry concept until I started preparing for the interview
Yeah.
and digging in. I didn't know when Rama came from the sherry concept
Yeah.
and that's ignorance on my own.
I don't think many people do. I didn't know either. You know,
well, and that's where I think
yeah.
why I don't think people
Yeah.
listen to that, because they probably didn't.
they didn't
quite-
know.
Yeah.
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 So that was a safe.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a very safe direction to pull back from that.
Yeah.
Well, and as far as the menu goes, you know, they had always changed the menu pretty frequently. There were a few things that stayed on it. We go back and forth with the pimento cheese. That's something on the menu that kind of comes and goes in different forms. I think when they had gone through a few different chefs, people brought in different influences. So, like Chef Jacob, who, you know, now has Gran, that I think came during his tenure here and was beloved by lots of people.
Yeah.
But we try to let like people in the kitchen also have a lot of autonomy to bring
Yeah.
in their own, make their stamp,
Sure.
bring in their creativity. Things that we like won't change are, as far as we see it, I think we see the staples as being like our house-made focaccia
Yeah.
is
Oh,
something
gosh,
that we'll like
yeah.
always keep.
Yep.
And then really like the house-made pastas, you know?
Yeah.
So those are kind of like our staples, and the rest we can kind of like play around with, or you know, seasonally, or just like what somebody wants to do back there. You know, we tend to not take off things like the meatballs or
Yeah.
some sort of shellfish.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I
something
mean,
like
that's
that.
kind of, you know, when you talk about keeping the name and the concept, it was, you know, the reputation was so great, the place was so beloved. Like, we didn't, and I think there were maybe some people in town that thought we were going to, like, try to turn it into an Olive Garden kind of a thing, or an old spaghetti factory, and it's like, it's just, no. I mean, we bought the place because we liked what they were doing,
Yeah.
and we wanted to keep it going and keep Rama as a part of the Tacoma dining scene, because if we hadn't stepped in, they probably would have closed the doors.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was not something that we wanted to see happen. Like, we wanted to keep this place around, you
I think
know?
that's a really good point to make, that it's not that you guys were coming in and changing it, that I think you were taking over and keeping it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important, because I've always really liked in Rama, and it
Yeah.
would have, like when I heard, and I can't remember when it was, but I did hear that there was some things that were going to happen to it.
Yeah.
At some point, I thought I heard the rumor that it was going to close at some point, and that sucked. I was like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
too bad. That's such a great spot.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, I wish you would have heard more about that. Hey, that's
Yeah.
really great that you guys
Yeah.
kept it going. Following kind of in that same pattern there, what's easier or harder, either way you want to go, inheriting a loyal following or starting from scratch and building your own following? Now that you've done this, what do you think would have happened if you did start all over? Do you think it would have been easier one way or the other?
You know, I'm not sure. Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
I do think we did make some mistakes. So our mistakes, you know, we, having been longtime front of house employees, we're very sensitive to what it means to especially spend your career like, you know, serving, bartending, doing those things, and like being a dedicated professional in that. Not that we don't have people that are only here for a summer, or, you know, you'll get all kinds of backgrounds, but especially some of our core people really have been doing this a long time, you know, and we're just sensitive to like the place staying open. So we literally signed the papers on like a Monday and we were still open on a Tuesday. In hindsight, though, we probably should have closed for a week.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah.
I would not advise that. Like,
Yeah.
just close for the week. Like, make it very clear that this is technically like a new LLC, a new
Yeah.
business model. Sometimes like things are for sale for a reason, and there
Yeah.
were systems in place that just were not profitable.
Right.
And those are tough calls to make, and change is hard for everybody.
Yeah.
And so we had to really, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it more in one foul swoop.
Yeah.
And not as strung out as we did it, because that just made it more difficult.
There's always, I've talked to other restaurants about the same thing, whether they reopened under the same name or they started their own thing. And you're going to get things wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when I say wrong, that the clientele is not going to like and not going to appreciate. And you're going to hear stuff. You're going to hear things, well, I liked it better before. Even if you didn't change anything, you're going to have that feedback. And it's always going to be something.
Yeah.
That being said, I look at it as that you kept this place going, and I'm excited to see what you guys keep doing and how this thing, how it grows. Because again,
Yeah.
I knew nothing about the sherry.
Yeah.
That was not, I did not know. But I do, I have a lot of memories coming down here and getting great cocktails and the food being good. The pimento cheese, when I had it, I don't remember when, it's been a while ago. It was really good. There's things that, like the fact that you're leaving certain things and key elements in the space that's the same. I like that. I love that. I love coming down here and feeling like, hey, you know what? It's still here. It's still got going. And
I think there's pros and cons to both. It can be difficult to build from scratch. We've done it before.
I think what also made the space was the feeling of like a certain level of dining in this historic space. And I think the way that the business model had been operating, that made it not tenable, it would have been easy for somebody to come in and be like, well, we have to like totally redo it, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do a counter service type blah, blah, blah to make it profitable. And that's the only way you can be profitable in this space. And that, I think, to both of us, made us a little sad.
Yeah.
Because there's something like nice,
yeah.
it's like the magic is being in here and having like a nice, like almost like date night, like intimate experience of a certain level,
I agree.
not just a like turn and burn, grind it out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really want to see it become that,
Well, I agree. I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna jump into something entirely different.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 Boston finishes, Tokyo in 2027. I mean, you're a runner. You're a marathon. A marathoner. No,
Yeah,
that's not-
marathoner.
Is it marathon? Okay,
it's
right.
a marathoner.
So that takes so much discipline and so much hard work. I don't know how you've done so many, but when we first talked on the phone, I thought that was really cool that you've done so many. How does that relate over to running a business? Is there anything that carries over?
I mean, you have to know how to suffer. I know how to suffer really well. It's the classic that you have to keep going when it's hard. It's that you always find a solution, I think. Like the thing about a marathon that keeps you coming back is that it's like you're in the race for a long time.
Yeah.
Like a lot can go wrong.
Yeah.
So when you very rarely, I think I've done 11 or 12 now marathons,
crazy.
and I've had maybe like one that I was like, oh, I felt great the whole time. I've had other really successful ones, but it's always been like, oh, I wish I would have done that better, or I wish I would have, just because there's so many elements, and so you're always thinking and adjusting, and that's kind of like being in the business, because really it's always something. You're always having to tweak something and adjust it here, and so they correlate a lot.
I would have been like, the first one, I've never run one, but
Yeah.
I can imagine the whole time was like, this was a terrible idea. This was a terrible idea. I should not have done this.
But then you finish and you want to do it again.
Yeah, I believe,
So
it's a sense of accomplishment. I think that would be so cool to do. That's a lot. I don't know that I can do it. We need to start with like a 10K.
yeah, you start out. You start
And
out
he's into it,
easy.
but-
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really get into running marathons until we moved to Tacoma and COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah,
that
I haven't.
makes
I wasn't
sense,
really
yeah.
like I was a lifelong athlete, but not like distance. And
Yeah.
it was kind of when being in the service industry.
Yeah.
So when all of a sudden we weren't going to work, and I was like, well, I'm just going to run a little further and a
Yeah.
little further,
Yep.
and Tacoma has a really great running community too.
Yes, it
that
does.
they've really made me feel a part of Tacoma, and like
Yeah.
I've met so many great people, and just have so many friends. And I talked to friends when I was running about and Rama, and ask them about their thoughts and pick their brains, and because there's a whole group of people that I get to see at like 6 a.m,
It's-
and
we
have
talked about-
hour-long conversations with.
I've talked about this in the past, but just being an athlete in general teaches you so much because it pushes you in a different area. Work is hard, but when you learn in athletics that if you put in the work, and your body gets better and you see what hard work does. And I
Yeah.
think that's a lifelong lesson in athletics and sports.
Yeah.
Just carry on over. And I think it's awesome that you still, compete and do those things.
Yeah.
I just think it's something that just keeps your mind moving forward and whatnot. So I think it's incredibly helpful, in just business in general. Tokyo, you're going to Tokyo in 2027?
Yeah, I already got an invite to the World Age Group Championships are being held at the Tokyo Marathon in March of 2027
And I saw a championship.
So-
What did you have to do to get into the Tokyo?
It's more like that's like just running a certain time. So when I ran the New York Marathon last fall, my time qualified me for that. Because otherwise, Tokyo is a hard one to get into as an American. You have to. Most people run it for charity, or you have to essentially be like a sub-elite runner, which I'm not quite there.
Sure? I don't know.
But yeah, so it's a great opportunity to run that. There's the 6 stars, which there's the world major marathons, and so Tokyo is one of them. So
Okay.
I get to cross that off my list. So
Okay.
I've done New York and Boston and Chicago and
Oh,
Berlin.
wow. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so I have London and Tokyo left, and they're adding a few more, but
That's incredible.
yeah, like the last one was in Cape Town, but I just couldn't make that trip happen. It was too far to go.
I'm way off topic, but I
Yeah.
just had to know.
Yeah.
So I carry on. I
Yeah.
can't stop. I'm so curious about it. Okay, so jumping back in the restaurant business, what's the hardest thing that you guys have run into, either in Rama here running the business or just over time? Like, what did you find is the biggest challenge that you guys maybe you've seen it once or you continue to see that you have to navigate around?
That's a hard one. I mean, you're only as good as your team, like the people that you have working with you and for you, and finding the right people is always a challenge. And when you do find the right team, the right people, like to really execute and represent your vision, when it all clicks, it's great. But that can be really hard to do. Sometimes you think you found the right person and they turn out to be someone that turn out to not be that person at all. And so that's up there. I think we're getting real close for the first time here to having everybody, but I've thought that before and I've been wrong, so.
Well, we have a really small staff, and again, to like make sure people are making the money that they can feel happy about. They need to have, we're always very attuned to that, to their needs. It's not just for like the bottom line of like, but we don't want to overstaff, so that finding that balance, I think, is tricky, not like overstaffing so that then people don't want to stay because they're not making as much money because they're dividing it, 4 ways instead of 3. But then also sometimes you have to, as the boss, you have to be like, well, no, we need an extra person,
Yeah.
like you can't do it all, like, because you have to also look out for the guest experience. And I think finding that balance is tricky, especially in such a small space. And, we have 30 seats most of the year, but then we double in size
summer.
in the summer.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always equate to double the business, but you just have to be more prepared for it. And,
Right.
luckily most of like our front of the house knows like, okay, we actually take a tiny pay cut in the summer just because we need more hands on deck. And it also means, I'm the fill-in server and Ziggy's the fill-in bartender,
Okay.
like I'm working next Saturday because, somebody wants a day off. And that's just, with this size of space, that's kind of how it has to be. I mean, I just can't, we can't have somebody like on retainer just in case. And I wouldn't want that, I know the space more intimately. And it's fun to fill in shifts, at least I think so.
I always have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. What do you think? What's a key difference between running an establishment in Seattle versus running an establishment in Tacoma? Do you think they're the same? Do you think there's a difference between them?
I think there's a stronger sense of community in Tacoma. Seattle is just, it's changed so much. There's so many places, and part of the main reason why we love living in Tacoma is because that sense of community that you can build around a restaurant scene, and just the sense of community in general, just in the neighborhoods and bumping into people and just people look out for each other more. And Seattle,
our neighbor does the sound.
Yeah.
He has his side gig is doing I don't know, what do you call it?
Audio. Yeah.
So he's like, hey, I'll help you out.
I'll build you some speakers for your patio.
I don't think they had sound out there before. And we were like, oh, you know what this patio could really use is some
some
music,
tunes.
Yeah,
some tunes.
And so we talked to Drew across the alley, and he's like, oh, I got you, and he looks out for us. One day the speakers weren't here, and we're like, that's weird. And the next thing you know, he's texting us. He's like, oh, I popped down and got him because I thought they needed this, this, and this, and I'll bring them back tomorrow.
That's awesome.
So we have our sound guy, who's just our neighborhood guy.
You guys do private events here. What does that look like? Are you guys shutting down for the night and having people coming in? Are you doing areas? What does a private event look like here?
So I handle most all of the events. If you email in, it'll be me answering your email. Most of the time it makes sense. You have to rent the whole space. We can maybe do groups of 15, around 15. You don't necessarily have to rent the whole space, but 15 people take up most of the dining room.
Oh, sure.
So especially if you're 20 people, then you need to have a private event. In the summer, we can do sort of different options. You can rent either the inside or outside, but we have to consider that our kitchen is still the same size.
Right.
So they can only put out food at so much food at once.
Right.
To rent the space, you basically have to meet a food and beverage minimum. And then there's a room rental fee. But the main thing is the food and beverage minimum, and it just varies on what day of the week. So Friday, Saturday would be obviously the more expensive nights. And it is a little tough on those nights because I do get people who I hate saying no.
Yeah.
I always want to find a way to make it happen for you. But usually 20 people, the food and beverage minimum on a Friday night is going to be not going to make sense for only 20 people.
Right.
So you do get it. People sometimes, the building is great in that there's so much that goes on here. We have weddings and things like that. So people want to have a rehearsal dinner here or their after party here. And those, people just want to pay for a great space to have an event. And then a Friday or Saturday is feasible. We have a wedding coming up in August that I've been working with the woman for a while. And I get excited for the events. We kind of plan your menu together and do it that way. So.
Are you doing catered events or anything? Are you doing anything upstairs when they do a wedding reception?
We haven't ventured into that. It's that's an avenue I'd like to explore more.
Okay.
But we haven't gotten into off-site catering. We haven't done that yet.
Okay.
We've catered a couple, when we were doing our sandwiches for a while, we did some fundraising things during campaign season.
Okay.
Or we worked with the Volcano when they had an event and did a little lunch thing for them. So I'm always open to figuring something out, but I don't have anything set that I can just here's our catering program to you.
But you're open to building things.
Totally, yeah. Or even on days that we're not open, which is nice. I try to sometimes steer people to a Sunday or Monday because then I'm not alienating our regular customers and your minimum will be lower.
Yeah.
Because it's just as long as it makes sense, I can pay the team, we can pay our cost of goods, we can make a little bit on top. It's not this the numbers for the food and beverage minimums are there because essentially that's what it costs for us to displace our normal business. It's not just this us wanting to make a huge profit. So, so if I'm not displacing business, it's a great opportunity to like get the space for less on those off days.
So Sundays you're open to doing things like, you can do baby showers or all sorts of things that come in.
Yeah.
That's a really,
Totally.
okay.
Yeah. So,
All right.
yeah.
How's the business community showing up for you guys? Like locally here, you're in a spot, obviously this is an office building. And then you have 1201 Pacific is right across the street. That's a pretty full building. And then just up 11th, you've got a couple more in this area. Are you feeling that after work, the business community is coming down? If not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what do we need to do to get them
Yeah.
down here?
I don't feel like a lot of people we don't get that after work community a lot. So,
Yeah.
a little bit. But yeah, I think we need to, get people in here for happy hour a little more. I've been going to the downtown Tacoma partnership meetings all the time, and they're great about supporting us and coming in. But yeah, as far as like just everyday people downtown, I am not sure that we see a ton of that. We're still a little bit more of like a destination dinner spot. But we'd love, to have more people come in after work.
Maybe it's the sherry tastings.
Yeah.
So, what does the future look like for you guys? Is there another Rama? Is there another concept after this? Once you guys get everything to a point where you feel like, you know what, we got it nailed, we got it dialed in, let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think there's been a lot of just, I don't want to say fires putting out here, but the last couple years have flown by, right?
Yeah.
Like we still have a lot to sort of settle here, I think, and then. But this concept, at least, I think to both of us, it feels really unique to this space. So we haven't really talked about it, but I think it's kind of unspoken that like this concept kind of belongs here at Courthouse Square in this historic building.
Yeah.
And I feel like trying to do the same thing and like, I don't know, I just imagine like, the bottom of like a new condo structure would just feel so weird, because there's something about like the old original details, like they're all over the space. That you just won't be able to find anywhere else. So I don't think and Rama 2.0 will ever exist.
Yeah.
Right.
But another space would be great. I mean,
Sure. I completely agree with that. It's, and Rama is a part of here.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could just go and recreate it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, it just wouldn't be the same. And
Pretty specific,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's kind of why we kept it what it was.
Yeah.
Which I think makes
Yeah.
sense. And it was right
Yeah.
there. What do you think have you guys ever thrown out ideas like when you were thinking if we started our own thing? Did you ever have one that you're like, this would be really cool?
I think, had we gotten the Zodiac space, that would have been gutted more in the same way that Three Hearts did. Not that we would have done what they did, but something like we had envisioned more of like pizza place with the craft cocktail bar that was, had an area that was maybe more family friendly, not a kid's place, but at least that,
Sure.
like people could come with their kids, like more of a neighborhood pizza bar kind of thing. So we've envisioned that a lot. Our background has always been like bartending, and I used to do the whole cocktail menu for our old spot in Seattle, and have since kind of gotten away from that just as like getting older and running more. I don't drink like I used to, and it's not, I leave that to like people that we hire that are amazing, and are really passionate about creating amazing cocktails. But we've had a few different visions. Or I also would go the complete other route and really want like a like hippie health cafe or something.
which maybe I can turn into a wine bar at night or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we have one of those in Tacoma.
Yeah.
That's a safe avenue for sure.
Wine is also our, all of our trips before before our son were always involved going to different wine regions around the world and
that's
tasting
cool.
wine. And my parents lived in Walla Walla for a while.
Okay.
And so we feel deeply connected to that too. We enjoy updating the wine list here just because it's fun to talk to people who, most winemakers, they're like, they love what they do and they're so in it. It's fun to
Yeah.
still get to do that here. That's why like, we don't really have a bar manager. Like we're the bar managers.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't think you need one.
Yeah.
All right, last question for you guys. If you were to give advice to someone starting their own restaurant in Tacoma or anywhere, if you like, what advice would you give them? And it cannot be don't do it.
I mean, I think the most important thing, and it's funny because the old building manager, who became a good friend of ours here, told me once, she's just like, you guys are crazy because you can be staring down the like biggest challenge or difficulty, and yet you have like a smile on your face, and that's like, that's it. That's the job. It's like, right now our ice machine's broken. Like, right now, a couple weeks ago was the oven. Like, some people don't show up for their shifts, or like things just happen, and it's you have to confront every obstacle with positivity and
We'll get through it.
and a smile on your face. Yeah, you just gotta, because part of it is you're always trying to, you're creating an experience for your guests, and that's like, part of that is overcoming the challenges and like not letting them know that those challenges are happening.
Right.
And because they don't want to come in and hear about the ice machine, they want to come in and eat a great plate of pasta and sip on a good cocktail and enjoy their evening. And so yeah, you just have to, keep positive and find a way, because there's always an obstacle, but
Yeah, that's a good.
yeah.
Alexis, Ziggy, thank you so much for your time today. This was awesome. I really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah,
Thanks for
coming
having
in.
us.
I
Yeah.
absolutely
It's an honor to be included in the
honor to-
series.
Well, honored to have you guys in
Yeah.
there. Looking forward to having you guys involved with the chili cook-off, and we just announced it today, so we're
Awesome.
excited.
Yeah.
Excited to do that, and can't wait for the next time to come in here. I know the owners now, and I get to
Yeah, you gotta
have more-
come in.
More to talk about.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
love that.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We have bacon and Brussels sprouts. We have the meatballs. We have 2 Caesar salads and bacon wrapped dates. Let's dig in.
That sounds good.
Really good.